And we're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Talk Battle Rap Podcast. Today we have a very special episode. That's right, the Fantastic Four is back in effect. We got Vlad, France, Dylan, and Tim. But today we aren't getting together just to shoot the BS and the politics. Oh, no. Today we are getting together to give you guys our top 2 picks for Champion of the Year 2019. That's right. Right after we record this video goes out to Jay Black, and then it goes out to you guys so you can see who will be the champion of 2019. So hold on to your cheeks and let's go on this ride. France, Tim, Dylan, what it do, babies?
What up?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, shout outs to Champion, shout outs to Jay Black. We're now 2-time panelists. So he, unfortunately, due to coronavirus and our global pandemic, we couldn't obviously deliberate all this in a physical room together. So he decided to get 10 to 15 media members to submit a vote for the top 2 contestants. Unfortunately, we won't have a top 20 right now or a top 5, but every media outlet is going to pick their top 2 contestants. And I would like to assume that this is a pretty clear 2-man race. Some people might throw some names in there, right? Like maybe Av might be in there, maybe Rum. But in my opinion, in our opinion as LTBR, the 2-man race is between Geechee Gotti and Ill Will.
Yeah. They both had incredible years. Yeah.
So we got the categories broken down here. Everybody can see the entire layout, right? We're not just going to give you a pick and give you why. We're actually going to give you the full breakdown, little transparency. We have I'll run down the categories real quick. We have strength of schedule, how difficult your year was with your opponents, performance, how good you were as a performer, material. This is all a little bit more subjective. This is quality of writing, impact, how your actions affected not just yourself, but everybody around you and the shockwave of the culture, how they felt, whatever you presented to them. Consistency speaks for itself. And moments, a very polarizing word in battle rap because everybody feels as if moments overshadows everything else. But we're going to go down this list of categories real quick. We actually added our own little tidbit here. This isn't a part of the champion categories. Again, I want to repeat, this is not a part of the champion categories, but we felt like people look at these categories and say, well, where does winning and losing matter? For us, losing is like if you're having a debatable, especially if you're having a tough schedule, like you don't ever really quote unquote lose, but you do definitely win. So we have a category here called biggest win. Which one of these 2 guys had the biggest win of the year? So we're gonna run down the schedule and run down these categories. First, I want to say shout outs to Tim because he had all the data mined up on genius.com of these guys' years. Geechee Gotti had 15 battles this year. Just going to say them real fast. He battled K-Prophecy, Arsenal, Chess, Ted, Head Ice, Sue Surf, John the Don, Ill Will, NWX, Big K, DNA at the BET tournament, Tay Rock, Don Marino, Big T, and O Red. And out of those 15 battles, about 12 of them are in Premier Leagues, and he's battled on 3 different leagues. Ill Will had 10 battles this year. He battled Pyrex, Sirius Jones, Scotty, Pass, Geechee Gotti, Blackface, Immaculate, Av, Chef Trez, and Primetime. So out of those 10 battles, 7 of them were on Premier Leagues. He battled on all 3 Premier Leagues, King of the Dot, URL, RBE. He actually battled on each of those leagues twice, so Ill Will averaged a triple-double this year. Round of applause for that. But Geechee Gotti is no stranger and also battled on 3 leagues as well. He battled on URL, King of the Dot, and Guardians of the Culture. Geechee Gotti had 1, 2, 3 headliners. Ill Will had 1. So that pretty much breaks it down. The last thing I want to point out here is we have the calendar days of all of the battles, and to see how far in between each battle took place and occurred. Geechee Gotti's longest time without battling was 50 days. And his shortest time between battles was 1 day in the back-to-back he had with DNA and Tay Rock the next day. Will's biggest gap between battling was 64 days, and his shortest was 14 days. So that already kind of speaks for the work ethic between these two guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think strength of schedule kind of speaks for itself when we lay out who they battled and how often they battled. It basically just favors Geechee, and it's almost kind of unfair. He basically doubles the amount of battles that Ill Will has, and the prep time. If you look at their performances, Geechee's not, too far off from Will. Some may even say he was a little bit better as far as his outings throughout the year, but looking down to prep time, the fact that he was so competitive, even with only having a day or sometimes a week. I mean, I'm looking down 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, and he's just as consistent as when he has 20 or 40 days to write. So I think that, that strength of schedule and just being able to compete against those guys in those periods of times kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, you could lock in Geechee guy for strength of schedule. Everybody concurs with that, right?
Hell yeah, that's a fact, man. I mean, 5 more battles, and not only that, he's battling a lot of heavy hitters, people who have the potential to really body you, to get you out of here. And he's not having all that much time to prepare for all of these cats. So when you start thinking about the amount of battles, who he's battling, the amount of prep time, and the quality of material that he's giving you per battle, I don't think that category is even close. And for Will, it's just not his fault because he just didn't have as many battles, even though he did have some hitters on his schedule, but Geechee just had hitter after hitter after hitter on his schedule and showed up every single time.
So obviously strength of schedule, we just talked about the entire resume. We talked about the competition. Geechee had tougher competition just off of volume, but this goes back to the one thing that we kind of want to highlight. Biggest win. Who do you guys think had the biggest win this year out of all of their battles?
For me, I think it might have been Ill Will versus Ab at the time. Because at that time, it was kind of like, not that people were writing Will off, but Ab was on such a streak and was on so much on fire. And it was a 3-man race at that time. It was Danny, Geechee, and Ab. And Ill Will just came in there and he just did the damn thing and walked away, and everyone pretty much by consensus gave Will that battle, and he performed his ass off, and it was in great fashion. He was a showman that entire battle. He showed his ass that battle when he showed up, and it was as clear as you want to say in battle rap terms. That was probably the clearest victory between those two guys that you can see between the heavy hitters on their schedule. So for me, the biggest win would have had to been Ill Will versus Adam. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Honestly, I think Geechee and Sue Surf holds a lot of significance or whatever. And just the fact that Geechee was able to, maintain and make that battle debatable is a big deal. But man, no one was taking Will as seriously as he felt like he should have been taken by everyone. And he said, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do Ab dirty. And God damn it, he did, man. It was impressive. And it was at that point when I think without that win, he is not in the top 2, at least for me. But that win was so big for him and so monumental that he kind of became one of the front runners.
Yeah, it felt like that was the turning point of the year where we kind of had to say, hey, Ill Will is in this race too. And Av was obviously like a top 2 or top 3 guy. And he didn't just have a good fight with Av. He kind of knocked Av a step down. Yep. He literally swapped rankings with Av.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that was exactly it. And that was the most surprising, I think, win out of all of it. But it was at that point where you're like, hey, he's taking this seriously, man, and we cannot ignore him anymore.
Yeah, and it was a testament to Will too, because like Tim was saying, up until that point, it's not that it's easy to forget Will because he's such a memorable character, but you start to thinking and then you start to, put together all of these guys' attributes and seeing who's who and what's what. And Av was just steamrolling so much that I think it literally pissed Will off. Like, yo, I need to show up and make a point that if you guys think that this guy is the man and he's going to be leapfrogging me for this champion of the year talk, and this is the this was the third year for it. So I think people are really like looking at Champion of the Year now, like, no, man, I kind of want this, you know, and if my name is around the top 5 and you got a guy who's around the top 2 or 3, if I come in here but boop, 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 put the beats on him or make it, you know, as clear as possible, at least on his end, then people are going to have to take him serious. And like Fran said, man, that was the leapfrog. And you can even see it with Av too, because Av started talking like, oh, wait a minute, man. You know, if I go in there and have one debatable with one guy who's also a top tier guy, you guys are just going to take away everything I just did, you know? So that to me showed the impact of that battle with Av. Once you saw it, like Av started talking that way, it showed that it was definitely an impactful battle. For Ill Will, it was that step up that he needed.
It's good context to have. It's good context to have to kind of know who had the highest peak of like a victory. But again, like a single victory isn't enough to overshadow all the categories and all the over-round voting of like who is the number 1 battle rapper of 2019. Because I could look back at 2018 and I would say, I'll argue Pat Stay's win over Tay-Rock was bigger than anything Geechee Gotti did that year. Because that was like a debut against the face of the league at the time. So let's going back down to the categories here. Performance. Who was a better performer in 2019, guys?
You want to talk about performance? Performance.
You know,
I mean, this one's kind of tough. I mean, depending on, you know, what you're looking at as far as performance, but I think I'm edging Ill Will in this category. Simply because he's more versatile as far as being like more of a comedic face. He also, you know, having the triple double on King of the Dot, RBE, URL, you know, that being able to cater to those crowds with his performances as well. I think, you know, those kind of play a little bit of a part for me as well. Geechee Gotti, just, you know, with his quantity, I think is one we got to look at. His performances have been, you know, kind of consistent throughout, but I guess that goes with that other category there. So we kind of negate the quantity here for this and just look strictly at performance value. And that's why I edge out Ill Will.
You know, the one thing I will say for Geechee Gotti, and I get that Ill Will is well-rounded and everything like that, but Geechee Gotti, although he is not as animated and things like that, which is what we kind of think about when we think about performance, we have to remember his battle with John John. Where everyone said he's not quite what we're used to, and that was because of his playing and whatever. I think if you look at that, it shows how much of his performance is his projection and his kind of stature and everything, which he has been for the other 14 battles of the year. And so even though he's not around the stage and moving around and, you know, doing different voices and things that Ill Will does, the one battle where he's not at 100% cost him that battle. And I think that just goes to show how much of his performance is his projection and his space and his stature, and energy is a great way of saying it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was there for that battle and I got to see it firsthand. Like Tim mentioned, he flew in like an hour or so like before the battle was supposed to happen, plane delays and all that. And you could tell that wasn't the same Geechee that we always get. So, you know, a drained Geechee is just not going to give you the same performance, but he still gave you a great battle. And we've seen that a couple of times with Geechee, you know, where that happened. We saw it with the second and third round with Tay-Rock, where you could tell like that back-to-back flying in the same day to battle definitely like fatigued him. And there was one other battle that I want to say that happened to also this year too. And a lot of his does come from his projection and his intensity when he battles. Like when he battles Surf, you know his voice was strained, but this was one of those situations where it was like, yo, listen, there's like 1,500 to 2,000 people in here. This is the battle that everybody wants to see right now. Surf's been off for the longest time. I want this. He wants this. I'm going to make this happen. Hoarse voice and all that, right?
Right.
And I give that to Geechee. But when I think about performance overall, Ill Will just does more on that stage when it comes to performance, when it comes to bringing the bars to life. Both guys are charismatic. Both guys will bring you in. Both guys know how to engage the crowd. But Ill Will just has another level of performance that I feel like he goes to that Geechee just, everyone has their own different style and everyone has their different attributes. So I just feel like that's Ill Will's strong suit, and he brings that every single time, no matter who you are. Like if you're a first-time person watching battle rap and you're just looking at it, you'll be like, yo, this guy's doing a lot, and he'll just draw you in just from that. Whereas with Geechee, you tune in a little bit more to what he's saying and how he's saying it also. So to me, I got to give Ill Will the performance check off in this round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
France?
I think it's just as simple as saying is Ill Will is just more versatile on the stage. And if there's any area that Geechee Gotti probably could use improvement in, or that he's just like, if you have to like list all of his attributes and rank them, performance would probably be his second to last one, just because like he's not as animated, and every time he's in front of somebody that has a little bit more animation, that always kind of gives them that edge. So he has to work twice as hard with his lyricism and rebuttaling, but obviously he compensates for with all his other skills. But Ill Will is a more versatile performer in my opinion, so I'll definitely go with Ill Will.
Yeah. And a clear-cut example of that was when Geechee battled Surf. Surf is an A1 performer, and you got to see that difference in the performance from those two guys. So, Geechee's like, everybody can't be perfect, man.
Who do you guys think had better material throughout the year?
This one is tough.
Go ahead, Dylan.
No, I mean, this one is tough. At this point, I'd rather piggyback off somebody, but it's that close. It's that close of a race, though. I mean, if we look at the performances, I think Ill Will versus Chef Trez and then Ill Will versus Av are two great material battles for me, as far as he was concerned. And then Geechee Gotti, I mean, you can kind of close your eyes and pick a battle, and you're guaranteed to get something out of it. So it comes down to more, I think, when we look at like efficiency, as France loves to use, Ill Will was very efficient in 2019. This was a year where he did not really waste any material. He did not, have too many battles where he was maybe lackluster. That was not his goal for that year. So his material was pretty sharp. And so I might edge Ill Will just for that fact alone, but this is close. Like if anybody says Geechee, we could definitely draw here. We could get a draw here.
Yeah, Geechee definitely has a lot of quality writing, especially in the quantity the battles that he has. But I think this also kind of goes back to Will's versatility, because Will has that strength where he could be in front of a writer like Ilmac and write with him or angle with him. He could be in front of a Av and punch with him and diffuse him. He could be with a Sirius Jones and be witty with him. So like Geechee's just gonna be who he is all the time in front of his opponent, and he's gonna double down on what he does. Ill Will kind of does like this ditto thing where he's like, all right, I'm going to kind of copy what you do what I do, and then also neutralize you at the same time. And it's pretty remarkable that Ill Will could do all these things. I don't think he gets enough credit for being as strategic as he is, because maybe in his mind, he doesn't think so hard about it. But when you kind of start to look at how he puts things together, it's actually quite brilliant.
Yeah.
So I got Ill Will for material just off of I guess quality of attributes.
I'm gonna go with Ill Will also off of the range of material. I feel like he's able to just do a couple of more things that Geechee hasn't tapped into yet, or doesn't do as consistently as Ill Will. And I feel like Ill Will has a couple of extra chambers that he just goes into that Geechee just hasn't gone into yet. But like Dylan was saying, it's right there. You know what I mean? So all these critiques are just like, it's going to be close no matter what. Hence why these guys are the top two of the year, at least in our opinion. But material-wise, I'm going to go with Ill Will. Like, he just edges it out for him. Tim, what you think, player?
Just for the sake of keeping this thing moving, I concur with all you guys. Yeah, you guys make some real good points. But it is razor edge close.
Impact. Who had the biggest impact this year? I kind of feel like it's kind of clear for Geechee, because obviously anytime he had a performance, he gave you his money worth. So does Ill Will. But like I feel like Geechee's performances came with like a continuing story, a continuing revolving like discussion. And there's a couple of people along the way you can start thinking about. Like he gave chess like a big revival shock when he took chess, because he's like a champion of the year while chess is off for almost 6 months off URL.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like he has no reason to battle him, but he gave him that shot knowing that chess would be hungry. And it was the biggest spark to chess's career. And there's a bunch of other little things you could point to. Obviously the surf battle, the Tay-Rock round, all these things go through across the world. So I say it's pretty clear for Geechee Gotti to have the impact. What do you guys think?
BET as well.
Okay.
Just him being on BET and being one of those guys that got picked. Geechee has huge impact.
Right. When you're talking impact, you're also talking about how does it reach people who aren't just the typical battle rap fan. And, you know, I've got friends who aren't that into battle rap, believe it or not, right? And they're like, yo, they hear about Geechee. They hear about what's going on with him, whether it's like a video pops up or, you know, him just his rapping and stuff like that. But then when they do chime in and do check in as just a casual fan, they remember his moments a whole lot more, and it resonates with them a lot more. So I feel like his impact and just him carrying the West Coast as like he's the flag bearer of that, and he's just become an ambassador of battle rap. So I feel like his impact has just gone further. I don't know if it's just because he's also more visible than Will is, but every time he steps on that stage, he leaves a dent on that stage, man. His impact just can't be. Yeah,
you guys think of consistency. This is interesting because obviously you can nitpick both of their resumes this year. I think it's disingenuous to say that Ill Will doesn't have debatables, because that run between Pass, Ilmac, and Geechee, a lot of people feel different ways about those battles. Even when we were on the media commission, we aren't on paper saying we have Pass beating Will. So like they both have debatables. Obviously, Geechee's resume is doubles Will's. So do you value efficiency in this realm, or do you value the difficulty of staying consistent with more volume against bigger names?
I think that Geechee Gotti has actually embodied the efficiency as well as the consistency, because being as good as he is throughout all of these battles, we just said we have Ill Will losing the Pass. So right off the bat, it's not flawless. It's efficient, but it's not flawless. Like you said, Ilmac, that's 3 battles. That's almost fast.
Geechee isn't flawless either, player.
No, not even close. But he also had 15 battles compared to what, 8? So
10
or 10. Sorry, 15 to 10. So I mean, he had just as many good performances as Ill Will, if not more, just based off of schedule alone. And then if we look at as far as wins and losses, which we don't do here, but as far as just good performances in general, Ill Will does not have more than Geechee by any means. There's no way that's even possible, just based on schedule alone and the amount of battles. So it already is kind of tainted towards Geechee as far as quantity. But I think even then, being able to, the names on here, he's got Arsenal, Tay-Rock, Head Ice, Seuster, Nitty. These people. The NWX, sorry, not Nitty, the battle with Nitty and NWX. He was consistent throughout the whole entire year. I don't think it's even really close when you look at it that way.
Right? Yeah, the reality in battle rap is, if you please your audience and you were competitive, you really kind of never lose. And especially if you give good performances, which Geechee always does. And then you see the quality of names he's taking. He took a level up from like being a champion of the year 2018 to now battling like a bunch of top tiers, like Surf, Chess, and Rock in the same year. That's all the Cave Gang, Arsenal, Red, Surf. It's all in Jersey in 1 year. He's battling guys that are like our legends, are made in this game already. And it's more difficult to stay competitive in quantity of volume than it is like with having less battles. And even then, if you have less battles, it's not like they're all clear wins.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it even better. Both guys are going to have rounds here and there where we felt like, oh, maybe this isn't their best, or maybe they take a loss here. But when you have more battles against bigger hitters, it's just going to add up to you being just more consistent just from the sheer number. So that one goes to Geechee Gotti.
Yeah.
Last but not least, moments. This is another category where I feel like we'll kind of fall short because, again, looking at their years, like Geechee has maybe 2 or 3 potential battle of the year candidates in this list, well, Will maybe has one, maybe two. If you really think the Chef Tress battle is that high of quality over the year, over the course of the year, but
Yeah,
just
I don't
Geechee
think this
Gotti's
one is
moments, like
even
just him
close.
laying the title
Yeah.
down, all these things, like these
Mm-hmm.
are engraved into my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I mean, just the first round versus Rock, just the way he brought it home and just how, because you ain't distracted because you won't even ride for you know, like all of these big hidden moments, like that's all you remember from the year. Will's performances are always up to par and always on point. But when you think about single moments per battle, it goes to Geechee Gotti clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, Geechee's been great this entire year, and it doesn't matter which league he's putting on same level of performances, putting out A+ material, and I think you're always walking away with something that he brings to every battle.
Yeah,
which
prime
is really
example.
impressive.
Look at the Don Marino battle, man. People
Exactly.
thought maybe he'll just go down to Florida, get a check, eat some burritos or something, and then this guy's rebuttaling. He's dunking back on the woman and all that. Like he's going ham. He's leveling up versus a guy like Don. So, and it's just countless moments throughout the year, man. So this is a clear one for me.
Yeah.
It looks like we have Geechee Gotti edging more categories than Will. So it looks like he will be selected to be our champion of the year 2019.